I've been in this business a long time, and one of the things I've learned is don't stand in the way of a large audience. Don't stand in the way of a large audience that's here for food security when lunch is beckoning, so I will make this fairly quick. First of all, I think all of us are thankful for being part of this. I'm old enough to remember the debate over the establishment of IFPRI, and I'm lucky enough to have had dozens of colleagues who've worked at IFPRI, even a number of my students who went to IFPRI, and I've valued that relationship over many years. I think this is a panel basically that is pretty keen on the role of trade and macro policies in solving the problem of hunger and poverty. And the title of my slide is, why does macro and trade sometimes fail the poor? And I think the role Maximo stressed early on, the role of food price instability is something that we have to understand a little bit more deeply than we typically have done. The diagram is simply how do you connect the short run, where we all live as policymakers, with the long run, where we want to get to in terms of making the investments, having the higher productivity, getting the research and technology plugged in, and all of that. And then the vertical is how do you connect the macro, where this policy analysis can have a real impact, down to the micro level, at the farm household, at the consumer household. I'm struck we haven't talked very much yet about consumers as separate from producers, but I got to tell you, the urbanization part of that is going to make that important. Basically, Rob Parlberg asked, why are policymakers, agriculture ministers, but finance ministers and everybody else, why are they stuck up in that upper left-hand box in the short run at the macro level? And the answer is they're coping, if that's where they are, they're coping with instability, the problems of instability. The macro folks, the policy folks, governments take really seriously this problem of trying to keep their food economy stable enough so that the poor are not threatened, so that farmers don't lose their land and collapses, consumers don't starve when prices are high. And if you spend all of your time as a policymaker in the upper left-hand box, worrying about short-run macro instability, you might be getting safety net funds down to the poor so that they don't starve. But what you're starving are the investment requirements for the roads and the infrastructure and the education systems, the research. You're starving the policy environment because you're focusing on the short run. I think there are approaches to providing the stability that the folks in that upper left-hand box need. ASEAN's actually done pretty well, gradually building up private rice stock, building up stocks country by country. But if anybody's noticed, there hasn't been a rice crisis since 2009, even though we've been through wheat and maize price spikes since then. Asia, I think, is beginning to figure out that slightly larger rice reserves means greater confidence in using the market. We need to use the market, absolutely, but we also need that longer run perspective to get the investments, the longer time horizon, so that we can get that productivity and solve the problem of poverty and hunger. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.